Dude, welcome back to the Accelerator program. In this session, we are actually going to run through understanding calories because they are the foundation for any bodily transformation. So, I'm going to give you a comprehensive guide to actually look at calorie management for achieving your health and fitness goals, whether it's to drop body fat, whether it's to build muscle, or whether it's to actually improve your relationship with food. So, let's jump into it. So, what are calories and why do they matter? Calories are essentially units of energy, and they are found in any food or drink that you consume on a daily basis. Now, depending on the type of product that you consume and also the quantity, it's going to affect the number of calories within that serving. For example, if I was to have 100 grams of pasta versus 1,000 grams of pasta, well, it's going to be high in carbohydrates and it's also going to be high in calories, depending on if I pick the 1,000 grams, significantly higher compared to the 100 grams of pasta. But what we need to understand is that calories pretty much fuel every function your body performs, for basic life processes to workouts. So whilst you're watching this training, it's fueling the contraction speed of your heart. It's allowing you to breathe in oxygen and also expel carbon dioxide. It's allowing you to listen to the sound of my voice and also the visuals on screen. And there's also some autonomous functions which are occurring right now, such as digestion, processing, and metabolizing of those food and drink that you have consumed. So when we say that calories matter, they really do matter because your London Tube network, which we talked about in our previous session, well, those trains are transporting those calories to the correct destinations to fuel that specific site or location. Now, managing your calorie intake is going to be essential to changing your body shape, whether you want to drop body fat, a calorie deficit anywhere between 300 to 500 calories below your maintenance is going to be a sufficient deficit, or to build muscle. I would actually argue anywhere between 2 to 300 calories above your maintenance is sufficient to build a good amount of muscle, or even to maintain your current physique where you are in a calorie maintenance, where you're neither increasing or decreasing your calorie intake. Pretty much your energy expenditure is equal to your overall energy intake. So we actually need to understand your basal metabolic rate, because that's the amount of energy your body uses to perform life-sustaining functions at rest. So we can see the female sleeping on the right hand side, and whilst she is sleeping, she is actually breathing in oxygen and expelling carbon dioxide. It's keeping her alive. It's keeping her cells alive, specifically the mitochondria, which is the powerhouse of a cell. And that's an organelle which pretty much keeps things running 365. So if we actually look at the complete definition, it's the number of calories your body burns at complete rest to keep you alive. Now, generally speaking, the reference nutrient intake in the UK, because we are a UK based program, however, if you are outside of the UK, it might change ever so slightly, is around 2,000 calories per day. Therefore, if I was to burn 2,000 calories and also consume 2,000 calories, well, my body weight will stay the same. But we can see that the core functions of basal metabolic rate include breathing and circulation, cell production, and also repair. So we've got something called the cell cycle and also apoptosis. Apoptosis is when your cells break down, and then the cell cycle is when we're generating new cells pretty much every single second of every single day. And then we got brain function and also hormonal regulation. So there is a lot of energy that goes towards your basal metabolic rate. So as you are sat here at rest, your basal metabolic rate represents roughly 60 to 70% of your total daily calorie expenditure. It's the foundation for your calorie management, and what you can actually do to increase your basal metabolic rate is actually increase the amount of muscle mass that you have in your body, because muscle is much more metabolically active than fat. Therefore, if you engage in resistance training and you build muscle, well, you're going to burn more calories at rest. That does mean that you can eat more, but you just need to be careful, and you need to obviously monitor your energy intake versus your energy expenditure. So how do we actually calculate your basal metabolic rate? Well, we use an equation called the Mifflin-St. Jeor equation, and that's going to allow to estimate your basal metabolic rate based on your weight, your height, your age, and also your sex. So if you are a man, you are male, well, we use the formula 10 times your weight in kilograms plus 6.25 times your height in centimeters minus 5 times your age in years plus 5. Or for a woman, it's 10 times your weight in kilograms plus 6.25 times your height in centimeters minus 5 times your age in years minus 161. So the example calculation there, if you are a 30-year-old man, you are 80 kilograms and you are 180 centimeters in height. Well, we take 10 times your weight, which is 80 kilograms, plus 6.25 times your height, 180 centimeters, minus 5 times 30, which is your age, plus 5 equals 1,780 calories per day. Looking at your total daily energy expenditure, this is the total number of calories that your body burns throughout the day, and that does include all physical activity, whether it's walking or whether it's a subcategory which is exercise, which is planned, it's structured, it's repetitive, and that is part of your overall energy expenditure, abbreviated to EAT. So what we want to do is actually multiply your basal metabolic rate by your activity factor that matches your lifestyle. So if you would say that you are sedentary, you do little to no exercise, well, you times it by 1.2. If you're somewhat lightly active, you go for 1 to 3 days a walk per week, that's times 1.375. If you're moderately active, you do moderate exercise for 3 to 5 days per week, so that could be going to the gym, times 1.55. If you're very active, you do hard exercises 6 to 7 days a week. We're thinking like triathletes, people that are swimming or resistance training or cycling on a regular basis. That's times 1.725. And then finally, if you are extra active, you do a very hard exercise or a physical job such as manual labor, then you times it by 1.9. And that's going to give an indication as to your total daily energy expenditure, the total number of calories that you are burning per day. So here's the example, and for a quick reference, we are actually going to use a 30-year-old man with moderate activity. So his basal metabolic rate was 1,780 calories, and he's times it by 1.55. So we can actually see that he's not too hot, so extra active, he's not too cold, he's just right, he's right in the middle. It's times 1.55. He does moderate exercise for 3 to 5 days per week. That's going to come to 2,750 calories per day. And that's the estimated total calories he burns each day. Therefore, you could argue that if he ate 2,750 calories per day, he would maintain his body weight. So how do we actually set your calorie targets based off your goals? And we're going to use the example for the 2,750 calories total daily energy expenditure. Now for fat loss, we want to eat 10 to 20% fewer calories than your total daily energy expenditure. That's going to be roughly 15%, which is going to create that calorie deficit. But as an example on the right hand side, we can see that he's gone for the upper end here, 2,750 minus 20%, so roughly 2,200 calories that he's going to consume on a daily basis to drop body fat. If he wants to build muscle, well, we need to eat between 10 to 15% more calories than your total daily energy expenditure to create a calorie surplus, so plus 15% for muscle gain. We can see that he's chosen 2,750 plus the 10%, which is roughly 3,000 calories that he's going to be consuming per day to gain lean muscle. But of course, if he wants to maintain his body weight or even go through a body recomposition, well, we need to eat roughly the same as your total daily energy expenditure to keep your weight steady. So that's 100% maintenance, and maintenance 2,750 plus or minus 100, that's going to be roughly 2,650 to 2,850. And you can actually consider the macronutrient profile or macronutrient partitioning within your calorie-based needs. So high protein diet, Eating at maintenance and also resistance training is going to allow you to drop body fat, especially if you pulled it by 100 calories, so you're consuming 2,650 calories, or if you want to slightly build muscle as well, you can add 100 calories, 2,850, but again, still having a high protein diet and also resistance training. Now, it's really important that you do use technology to simplify your calorie management. If you're old-fashioned like me, a notepad and pen will do just fine, but if you do use an app like MyFitnessPal, or even use a Fitbit, or even use something like Chronometer, they will calculate your basal metabolic rate and also your total daily energy expenditure based on your profilic data. So your height, your weight, your age, your sex. And it's also going to have a food database in there as well. So it's going to allow you to quickly log meals without the guesswork, and also the nutrition content, so the calories, the carbs, the proteins, and the fats. And it's convenient. It allows you to upload that and not even think about it a little bit later, rather than using a notepad and pen, and it takes away from other things that you could be doing. You can scan the barcode on the back of that product, and then it will sync it automatically. And then finally, progress tracking. It's going to allow you to monitor trends in weights, in measurements, and also your calorie balance to identify what's working and also what needs to be adjusted on a weekly basis. And it is super important that you do adjust your calories over time, because as your body composition, as your activity change, so will your calorie needs. So if your progress stalls, you can adjust your daily calories up or down by 100 to 200 calories until you see movement again. We don't need to pull another 500 to 700 calories or add endless hours of cardio. Instead, small changes consistent over time are going to yield the biggest results. And the plateau, it's pretty normal. Your body adapts, your basal metabolic rate adapts, your metabolism adapts. That's why you hear people say, like, it's super hard for me to gain weight, or it's super hard for me to lose weight. The reality is it's not. It's just because the metabolism hasn't had that time to be able to change and adapt in order for them to lose weight or to gain weight. So periodic adjustments are going to be essential for continued progress. But it is really important to consider this for long-term success. And we can break that down into 4 stages. The first one looks at total awareness. So calories from all foods and drinks, they count. Okay, cooking oil, sauces, beverages, we need to track them thoroughly for accurate results. So consistency is key. Even eating the same meals and tracking the same sources in every single meal, that is what's going to yield the best results, and repetition after repetition. Number 2, sustainable approach. We don't want to make drastic changes to our nutrition, follow crash diets. We want to avoid extreme calorie cuts below 20% deficit to prevent muscle loss or even metabolic slowdown. So just because the best plan on paper might say you lose plus a kilo per week, you may be doing too much. And as a result, your body may not be able to keep up with those changes that you're making. Number 3, activity matters. So non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So non-exercise activities like walking, gardening, even fidgeting whilst you're watching this video, they're going to burn significant calories and support your goals. So when you walk to and from the supermarket, use the car a little bit less, use the stairs instead of the lift. These are going to help to contribute towards that deficit or your overall health, to lubricate joints and also to improve your balance. Number 4, consistency over perfection. We want to focus on long-term adherence rather than just perfect daily compliance. So a one-off plan won't derail your progress. But if that leads into 2 days off plan, 3 days off plan, 5 days off plan, well, it's that negotiation feedback loop, and you're tapping into sort of your emotions, how you feel, rather than taking action and just laying the plan ahead. 1 meal off plan is going to be fine, but don't get into that negative feedback loop of, okay, I'll go off plan again and again and again, because you'll just delay your progress and the results that you need to achieve. I shall see you in the next training.